Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I actually did recently see the Thunderbolts film, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Genuinely enjoyed that film. I wasn't expecting to. I've kind of lost faith in the Marvel Cinematic Universe recently, but that was a nice return to form, very enjoyable film, and if you do want to restore your faith in the franchise, I highly recommend you go check it out. I'm not going to spoil any of it, but Yelena Belova was kind of the main character, and I am now slightly simping for Florence Pugh. But that's besides the point, okay? That's besides the point. Today we're taking up the 3-star version of Yelena Belova and taking her into 5.1.6 to see how she does against that Archangel boss, and afterwards we're going to put her on my leaderboard thingy, and I'm going to say it right now. I don't think she's going to do very well on the leaderboard, because none of what I'm going to show today is particularly relevant. Because nobody is talking about this character offensively, because we're all worried about her being the next 5 out of 5 defender. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, before we get into this quest, is I'm going to quickly go over her rotation, how to maximize her, how to use her offensively, talk about her in that respect, and then the bulk of this video is going to be talking about her defensively, what I think about that. And then at the end, I guess I'll make a little note about the rate at which Kabam are releasing tough defenders. Obviously, we've had Yelena Belova this month, but also Dark Phoenix, another very tough defender. And that was a topic of discussion in the community recently. I was supposed to make a dedicated video to that, but I've got shit on, I've got exams on, I haven't done it. So I'll bundle it into this video. But Yelena Belova, if you pick up Yelena Belova tomorrow, how do you maximize her? What's her rotation? So what you want to do is you want to knock the opponent down or intercept them to gain bursts of combo meter. If you knock them down, you get 10. If you intercept them, I think you get 5. But you want to reach 100 hits in your combo meter before chucking off an SP2. When you do, you enter elimination mode. And in elimination mode, all your hits are guaranteed critical and deal bursts of bleed damage. If the opponent is bleed immune, then you deal bursts of direct damage. You're actually better off against a bleed immune opponent than against a champion that can be bled. And once you're in elimination mode, you hammer in with your guaranteed critical hits, you do your full combos, you chuck off your SP1, and you try and end the fight like that, right? It's nothing serious. There's nothing special. Don't go expecting miracles from Yelena Belova on attack. I'm going to draw the comparison to Bullseye, and that's going to happen quite a lot in today's video. But quite like Bullseye, he's not brilliant offensively, but in certain situations where those guaranteed crits are useful, where you just need a solid and consistent champion to end a fight against some sort of science character, she will have her place in the game. You can see Thor Jane Foster gone down in exactly that SP2, SP1 rotation in just under a minute. She's a defender, alright, don't expect miracles. She is poison immune, so her target matchup is Immortal Abomination, a champion just added to the game as a 7-star. Nice guaranteed critical hits and poison immunity to punch through those resistances. She'll also do quite well against Photon, as when she's awakened and in elimination mode, she can't miss or be evaded, so not so bad against Photon. But yeah, don't go expecting miracles. In certain situations, she will do quite well, quite like Bullseye, but she's not Kate Bishop, she's not Mantis, she's not a nuke, she is a defender, she is designed to be left on the right-hand side of the screen and forgotten about. Alright, now we can talk about her defensively. So, Yelena Belova is the latest 5 out of 5 defender to hit Marvel Contest of Champions. Or is she 4.5? I'm not sure. She might have been 4.5, but let's just call her 5 out of 5 for the sake of argument. She's very, very tough, and I've got quite a good way of thinking about this, right? You ready? You know those 9.2 protection nodes, where unless you have a certain effect on the defender, they just keep gaining protection passives until you deal no damage, right? Imagine those nodes had a baby with Bullseye, okay? That's Yelena Belova, okay? Unless you have a Daunted effect on her, your attack rating is capped at 60%, and external attack modifiers aren't going to do anything to that. So, for example, if you enter a fight against Yelena with a Juggernaut, right, the increased attack he gains from his Unstoppables, not going to do anything. That Fury buff, not going to do anything. Say you enter a fight against Yelena with Sunspot, you gain another Flare State, it's not going to do anything. The only way you can have your attack rating at 100% is unless you have a Daunted on her. And even when you have a Daunted on her, your attack rating is capped at 100%, which kind of leans into the design of Daunted, because it increases the damage the opponent takes on special attacks, instead of anything to do with your special attack rating, like a prowess, or anything else that increases your attack rating. So, Yelena Belova requires pretty specific RPG counters if you want to have a nice fight. But if you don't have a Daunted effect, then players are coming up with strategies to do a DOT. So players are finding some success using champs like Venom, using champs like Mr. Sinister, because DOT doesn't interact in the same way. If you have strong DOT on your base kit, then you're going to do decently well against Yelena Belova. But what makes her difficult is she's going to enter elimination mode. She's going to throw guaranteed critical hits at you with special attacks that are difficult to evade, and due to your attack rating getting capped, she's very, very tanky. So basically you have a fight that takes a while, that can go wrong because the specials are quite difficult to dex, and when they do go wrong, it goes wrong bigly. That's what makes her challenging. How do you get around it? If you don't have DOT, if you don't have Daunted, how can I survive? Well, I recommend taking the time to learn to dex her SP1. It is possible to dex it consistently. I recommend, if you're struggling to learn the timing of any special attack, that you turn the game volume on and you just listen, and your brain will sync up the timing. Once you hear something, it gets easier to manage. Trust me. Now, let's say that you bought the pre-access bundles and you're a lucky little bastard, so you pulled Yelena Belova as a 7-star. I highly recommend that you take it to 7-star rank 3. If you are the kind of guy who likes getting an edge on your opponent in battlegrounds in any way you can, then she is certainly going to provide that advantage. Everybody is going to slip up to this champion at least once. She is new. Very few people have experience fighting her. If you're in a top tier alliance and you want to help those guys out, taking her to rank 3, placing her on a tough node, even in the updated Alliance War map, is going to cause problems. So Yelena Belova, definitely worth rank 3, but I don't believe she's worth rank 4. That's because from a design perspective, I don't believe it's particularly difficult to make champions to counter her. If you have a Daunted effect on her, you have all of your attack rating, and champions like Onslaught and Gentle and Jean Grey are doing very well against Yelena Belova. So I think in the long run, what we're going to see towards the end of this year and in 2026, basically every single new mutant champion added to the game is going to have Daunted built into their kit somehow. It's just very easy to build a hard counter to Yelena Belova. Or not even a hard counter, but a champion that will do significantly better than the average champion. She's not like Serpent, where you have about 106 things to take into consideration when you build a champion, and even the hard counters occasionally struggle. No, it's not going to be like that, and in the long run, I don't think she's going to have as much defensive influence as a champion such as Bullseye. So, yeah, definitely worth rank 3. This is all said with an asterisk in that we haven't given her time to really embed herself in the meta. It could be the case that she's the best defender we've ever seen and I just don't see it yet. But I believe that just because basically the entire, or the bulk of her defensive threat comes from this protection without Daunted, she's not going to be a massive threat in the long run. Now, those are my thoughts on Yelena Belova on defense. Now, I was going to make a separate video talking about the rate at which Kabam are releasing tough defenders, but other creators made videos first, and I've got shit on. I've got exams, I've got assignments. Unfortunately, I do have a life, but I do still need to work alongside making these videos, so the time has kind of passed, but I'm going to lump it into this video now. Kabam made a statement last year addressing some community unrest about the rate at which they were releasing tough defenders, referring to Enchantress, Arcade, Bullseye, Serpent. We got a lot of them in the year of 2024. And they addressed these concerns by saying, yeah, okay, we definitely have had to, quote-unquote, catch up with the rate of defenders we're adding to the game. And as a consequence, they did listen. They did listen to our concerns, and as a result, they said, all right, we are going to tune down some of future champions as, you know, with their defensive potential in line with your complaints. Now, in 2025, we had Arnim Zola, and he is certainly a very tough defender, but then suddenly, in 1 month, we get both Dark Phoenix and Yelena Belova, so 2 5 out of 5 defenders, and it feels like that statement, Kabam have kind of gone back on that message. They've done a U-turn, and they're kind of ignoring the sentiment that seemed to be implied with that message, where they said, you know what, we're going to tune it back, and we're going to roll back the production of defenders, because we've had 2 very rapid fire, and they're very tough defenders. Right, both Dark Phoenix and Yelena Belova, they're going to cause problems, particularly for the free-to-play players. You know, we're just coming off the back of Heart of Fire, and I'll tell you, I haven't posted any Battlegrounds content this season. It's really hard out there. It's really tough out there if you're a free-to-play player facing rank 4 Dark Phoenix, rank 4 Nick Fury, rank 4 future Ant-Man, just generally improved rosters. And when you add in the defensive threat of Dark Phoenix and Yelena Belova, it's just not very pretty. If you want my honest opinion of it, we can only really complain about things that we can have an influence over, right? Yelena Belova and Dark Phoenix, they're in the game. The most productive and the most efficient thing that we can do as players, that I can do as a content creator, is tell you how to fight these champions and, as crude as it may seem, adapt and get good to deal with them, right? I hope some of the tips that I've spoken about in today's video will help you manage Yelena Belova. Actually, let me know in the comments below if you want me to make an actual, dedicated video to Yelena Belova or Dark Phoenix. I think those will both be called for. But yeah, that's the best thing we can do. I understand that if we complain about these champions, it increases, maybe slightly, the likelihood that they may get a rebalance, but that's a long way down the road. Kabam have significantly slowed down the rate at which they're getting their rebalance tunes out. I think Patriot's coming out, in August. They're really slowing down this rebalance program. So even if that happens, it's going to be a long way down the road. We're definitely going to have to deal with these champions for a fair few months. And the best that we can do is just, take it on the chin, learn how to fight them, adapt, and get good. Is Yelena Belova the worst thing we've ever seen? Is she the next Serpent? Definitely not. Definitely not. Is Dark Phoenix and her kind of presence as a pay-to-win champion irritating? Yes, definitely. Is there anything we can do about it? No. And I know that's really bleak, and I'm not letting Kabam off the hook at all. I dislike the fact that we've had 2 5 out of 5 defenders, but hey, while it's almost guaranteed that in the second half of 2025 we're going to see counters that absolutely wreck both Yelena Belova and Dark Phoenix, you never know. Maybe they will tune down, the rate at which they release new defenders. For 2 in 1 month, I say next month we're due some decent attackers, right? And let's hope that that is the trend for the future, but that's really the best we can do. For now, my message is, suck it up. Right, I know that's bleak. I'm a free-to-play player. I feel the pain. I have felt the pain. I've lost matchups because I had to ban Dark Phoenix and I couldn't ban other champions I'd usually ban. And it kind of feels like you're just losing to money, right? And you are. I hate to break it to you, you are. But that's it. Them's the breaks. And talking of the breaks, that is Yelena Belova. Took down Archangel in just under 2 minutes, and that means it is time to talk about the leaderboard. So, Yelena Belova comes in at 10th. She's below the benchmark time of Gallon at 524 seconds. Now, you can see the 2 defenders of 2025, Yelena Belova and Arnim Zola, down there in 10th and 11th. Not great, but look, she's a defender. What you expect. I think Arnim Zola should also have an asterisk for I didn't play it right and I'm a scrub. But she's not an attacker. Don't expect miracles from her on offense. I mean, that kind of just ties into what I've been saying this entire video. If you want a summary, very quickly, she's not the next CGR. She will have specific uses on offense, but don't expect miracles. Defensively, she's very, very tough. I recommend practicing the decks on the SP1. In the long run, I don't think she'll have as much defensive influence as a champion such as Bullseye, but she is certainly very tricky. And yeah, it kind of sucks that we've had 2 5 out of 5 defenders this month. But what can you do, right? Mr. Sinister, Venom, get your onslaughts out, rank up your gentle as much as saying that sentence pains me. This is the world we live in. Welcome to 2025. Get good. All right, go away.